neighborhood. That's been a huge,
Hi guys, I don't know when you cut
intentional
off, but I hope you joined me.
impact. And because 12 years ago they started the Department of Economic of Development, right? So Ned Stabler is the Vice President of Economic Development for Wayne State University. And that's part of the Meds and Eds philosophy. So this isn't just a Detroit thing, and many of you come from other universities. But when we saw disinvestment in urban cores around the country and the world, even to some extent, like Torino, Italy, Philadelphia are kind of poster children for this. We saw people leave and businesses leave, but it's hard to pick up and move a university or a hospital. And so frequently they were left as anchors and threw up walls. And the idea of Meds and Eds working together was break down those walls and try to have an impact on your community. And this new center neighborhood that we just passed into is also in the Wayne State footprint. And down this street to your right, that's Z's Fellow, which is a great bar restaurant. And then down there on your left, right before the white building, is the original Piquette plant, where the very first Model T was made by hand. So put that on your list. And they have the alphabet museum collection there, A, B, C, D, all of those. Some of them with only a handful of the cars of that letter made, right?
Let me know if you can hear our tour guide and founder.
Check that out. And then the white building that is down there is the original, is one of the, it's Fisher Body number 21, built in 1919. And that is about to be a mixed-use development with residential, retail, and that's a local Black developer. And what I like about that project is they purposely said, we're not going to just throw up a rendering and say we're doing this before we have any of our ducks in the row. They got all the financing, got their ducks in a row, and then announced it was happening and showed the lovely rendering. There's a rendering graveyard that we have in Detroit of, hey, this is going to happen. That they put the pretty picture up before any of the details have been decided on, right? So we are also, as we go up Woodward Avenue, and we just passed some murals, you're going to see that's part of Sidney James's Blackout Walls Festival, which is a mural festival that's happened 2 years, once in the North End and once here along Woodward, and it'll go the whole stretch to Highland Park. And a mural festival, for those that aren't familiar, is that you paint a bunch of murals in a short period of time. So people can come and interact with the artist, see the changes, seeing as it's being painted. Detroit has painted about 500 murals in the last 10 years. Really led by Murla David and the Murals in the Market Festival. I mean, we have murals. We've always had murals in Detroit and Southwest, specifically in Eastern Market. But this huge uptick, the Murals in the Market Festival was 30 murals in 1 week every year for 5 years. And it was recognized by the Smithsonian as one of the top mural festivals in the world. And I think that was a big realization of the impact that public art can have. And then there's a whole series of other programs. So if there's something specific you want to, feel free to ask questions, or if you're like, hey, I'm an artist, I did one of those murals, whatever, just let us know. Also, this little train station is what replaced Michigan Central. So if you ever wondered what happened after the last train left Michigan Central in 1988, the answer is this. Now, there are some plans, renderings, I don't know about the plans, but where this whole parking lot, this area, that the Amtrak gets a little upgrade into, not certainly back to a Michigan Central level, but a little bit upgraded from that little level there. But that doesn't mean that there isn't trains that leave out of there. We have train service. I mean, I'm very excited about investment in public transit, of course. And if we could get it a little faster to Chicago, that could be nice. But it does go to Chicago and other places from there. So there is an Amtrak station. Don't let people tell you there isn't. On your left is the original GM Research and Design building across the street from the original General Motors headquarters building, which was built here in the 1920s, designed by Albert Kahn. You're going to hear that name, but the tour guide joke is when in doubt, say Albert Kahn, because you're probably right. But Albert Kahn was the most dominant architect in Detroit. Henry Ford's architect, General Motors architect, kind of got around. But the Broughton building today was a $160 million development with College for Creative Studies, and it has a middle school and high school that focuses on art and design. It has College for Creative Studies dorms and studio space, and it has Shinola headquarters, where they make and assemble the watches and sew the leather goods that are sold at the first store just a few miles away. But now there's a couple dozen stores around the country. But so you can go from sixth grade, middle school, to a master's to a job in design in that building. And it was left empty when General Motors moved downtown to the Renaissance Center in 1997. So it's a pretty good in terms of adaptive reuse story for that. Um, and it's also all full circle because it was originally the General Motors Research and Design building. So the new center is so named because General Motors created a new center, right? So this was the largest office building in the world when it was built. And they didn't have the room downtown, or they would have had to demolish a lot more stuff to build this footprint, which is why downtown most of our buildings go up instead of wide, because there was such a demand at that time. The St. Regis Hotel, one of the few hotels outside of our downtown, also one of the most expensive hotels ever built. What? What do you say in America? Because what year do we think this was built? Any guesses? Decade? Give me a decade. 30s? No. The 60s, the late 60s. But they built it to look like a 1920s French hotel. So they actually brought so many things in that it was really expensive, because it was gonna be the hotel for General Motors executives and guests and those kind of things. If anybody watched Mad Men, they actually go to this, Cadillac Place is what it's called today. Let's see. Oh, got the doors. Well, is there any of the doors open? You can still pull up there. Looks like the door. If not, it's still easier to pull up there. We can walk around the side if we need to. I was just talking to Mike Salaka at Northern Lights. Anyone been in Northern Lights? One of your, if not, I will give you a checklist at the end of every single bar, restaurant, and coffee shop in the entire city of Detroit. There's 934 places, not counting Jimmy John's, McDonald's, fast food of any kind. But counting every great taco place and carry-out spot and fancy diner, whatever, all fancy places, diners everywhere in between. But anyway, Northern Lights is excellent, and Mike Slaka used to run the New Center Council, which was the CDO for Community Development Organization for New Center. So if you ever want to get some of the scoops. So we're going to get out here at the Fisher Building. I'm going to tell you a little bit about
This is
it.
fun.
We're going to have to, I think we're going to have to go back around because you know what? So I want to see if we can go through the restaurant right here. Just, you can pause right here, Andrea. We'll go. Oh, got it. It's going to be a long tour, but hey, it's cool. I mean, we got a live stream here. I think it wants us.
Don't worry, you guys. I have an external battery.
We'll get a lovely walk around. So before we go in
kicked
the
out
Fisher
of the
Building,
live, I'll start another one
I'm gonna
again.
tell you a little bit about it, because what we're going to do is walk through, and then Andrea's going to pick us up on the other side. Is what's going to happen. To save some time. And so this is the thing. We mostly focus on tours for locals. People think tours, they think out of towners and tourists and double-decker buses. They go wah, 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 wah. That is not what we do. It's not what we've ever done. We love helping out of towners. I had, the mayor of Seattle a few months ago and all of their leadership. We had 125 people from council last week, the Highline Network. But when the people come from out of town, it's for to understand policies and best practices on community development and things like that for the most part. That's what we work on. But locals can use the information. You can go back to a small business, be a more educated voter, find a nonprofit to volunteer at, or learn about that nonprofit services that you can take advantage of. And so I'm going to be good cop and bad cop this whole day.
So we have
say,
nice
here's something amazing. Okay, let's go. But the idea is that now you will be aware of it, and that you can come back any single time you want. Yeah, that's right. We'll walk around. We'll walk around. That's fine. So what we're gonna do in the Fisher Building. The Fisher Building opened in 1929. It's called Detroit's largest art object. It was designed by Albert Kahn Associates, and it was built by the Fisher brothers, kind of as a thank you for making them super rich. So there were 7 Fisher brothers. We'll talk a little bit more about car history as it relates to Detroit, but Body by Fisher is Henry Ford was an engineer. He got the car part, the engine part, but convertibles in Detroit aren't going to last that long, So the Fisher Body Works was created, the body parts of the actual body shape and chassis and all that stuff. So anyway, it's 7 brothers. They built this. There was actually supposed to be 2 other towers, another one this size and one more than double the size at almost 70 stories. But something else happened in 1929 that slowed that down, which was the Great Depression.
Can you check with me to see whether that old stream is still open? I thought it closed.
What's great about it now is I love taking people in there because it's a beautiful example of Detroit's grandeur in the 20s. and you have 40 different types of marble. You have the Fisher Theater. But when the platform bought it about a decade ago for only $12 million
Wow.
at auction, and got a whole nother building. It's this and the Albert Kahn building, which is now residential. For those coming from the coast, you're like, I'm sorry, what? That 2-bedroom condo is $12 million. This has never been abandoned, but it also didn't always have the total TLC. But they've been intentional in terms of having these formerly retail spaces being actively offered to current local small businesses. So you're going to get to see some places. There's great lunch spots in here, coffee spots. A lot of the shops aren't open right now, which is probably good because we'd lose all you to all the great shops, but we'll still talk about them. Mature is a great men's clothing store, locally owned Black business. And that was the thing, really making it accessible to small local businesses. So let's go check it out.
Okay, guys, here we go. And can the mods keep an eye on the comments and pop some up here? I've seen some people say things like, well, you're not going to see any low income areas. And that is not true. So we're going to see Detroit's West Side as well. And I really wish that people would reserve their judgment and negative comments until they see the whole deal. This is a really important organization, City Institute, and we're going to talk about economic development as well. So
I like it. I like it.
say
Hi. Hello, how are you? Good to meet you. Such a great influencer.
I'm trying. Can I just ask you a question? Some people in my comments are like, you're not going to really see the real Detroit. This is all the gentrified area. Can you respond to folks? Is that
No
true?
comment. No, I'm just kidding.
I love honesty.
No, it's going to be, I mean, it's going to be a lot of stuff that's developed, right?
Yeah,
And like Fisher Building's been here for years, for almost 100 years.
right.
So no, I think we're gonna talk a lot about realities of Detroit, right? So it won't just be the was it 7.2 square miles that they always talk about.
The Dan Gilbert stuff.
Yeah,
Remind me
downtown
of your name.
Midtown.
We talked before.
Aubrey Agee.
This is Aubrey Agee. Remember, he's a longtime Detroiter, but he's new to City Institute. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
How new are you?
Third week. Third week.
Hello,
Yes.
third week. Okay, I gotta catch up with the tour. Okay, guys. So we are headed into the Fisher Building, and when I grew up in Detroit, this is a place where I saw a lot of Broadway shows on tour. In fact, I think the first Broadway show I ever saw was Pippin, and that was in the 70s. And I also saw Annie when it was on tour here. So this has always been a really great place to come to. It's obviously under construction now, and you can sort of see here's that under construction sign. But I'm gonna catch up with my colleagues from Wayne State. Oh my God, look at some of this old detail here. Okay, here we go. Um, $12 million seems kind of like a steal, but of course, who knows what the renovation costs are going to be for this. So we're moving along. Thank you for coming over here from the other from the other thread. And hey guys, some of the mods, maybe Susan. I don't know how to take down the comments, but I think you know how to put them back up. I think you press on the three dots and you maybe star the comment. I don't know. But maybe if you can remove them or keep putting them up because it's kind of weird that we have the same one. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm getting the chills. When I was a kid, this space is how I kind of fell in love with Broadway theater, even though this wasn't Broadway. Um, it's kind of incredible. Look at these ceilings. Look at these gorgeous sconces. Hello, sir. How are you doing today? Can I put you on my live stream?
Okay.
What's your name?
Daniel Epps.
This is Daniel. What you doing today?
Just sitting here praying. I'm been homeless and praying to Social Security in Highland Park. Put my money on my car, on my debit card. Next spend, I'm trying to give me a place to stay.
So you're homeless right now, but you're going to the Social Security office
No,
today?
I'm praying that they put my money on my card.
On your
They've been
car.
on me since March. Been homeless all that time, but
Have you been living in your car? Or?
no, I ain't got no car. I just been living. Sometimes it be a vacant building. If it's open, I don't break in.
Yeah, I
I'll go in
understand.
there, but then the people, because we gotta go and I leave. But I've been walking around for about the last 2,
Cold
3 weeks.
today.
And it's
What is
real
your name
cold.
again, sir?
Daniel Epson.
Daniel, you don't have to say your last name. So how long do you live in Detroit?
Since 2014, but I used to be coming down here
Uh-huh.
in the 70s, making records for Martha Jean the Queen.
Oh my gosh. Sir, I really want to talk to you, but I'm supposed to be going on a tour,
But
but
just pray that they put my money on my car.
I do too.
And I get a place to stay because it's
I do
cold.
too.
I need a coat. Reverend Holly said he was going to have me get some clothes. And never did, but I'm just praying.
I'm praying for
September
you too.
2022, you feel they got me the clothes.
I'm praying for you. I'll check back in with you after.
Thank you so much. What's your name? Is?
My name is Jen.
Thank you
God
so
bless you.
much. I appreciate it.
Sorry, I took a detour, but I wanted to talk to that man. So here we go.
Right? We have every major architect. Downtown, you have every different era. Even though we stopped really building downtown, you still have Daniel Burnham who invented. If you don't know architecture, but want to sound like you do, just remember Daniel Burnham. That's the skyscraper. And then we have three Daniel Burnham buildings. We have Yamazaki, who designed the World Trade Center, who started his career here in Detroit, buildings at Wayne State University, like the McGregor Memorial Conference Center, and One Woodward downtown is really a small version of the World Trade Center. Even postmodern, the architecture, and if we got any architecture people, Philip Johnson's really the biggest name to know on postmodern, and that's what was Comerica Tower. It's called One Detroit Center now. That was built in 1992. But anyway, people come from around the world to see our architecture, and it's something that we take for granted as well. So I think there's nothing else from this tour except the idea of look up, right? And take in, go a little slow, smell the roses, all that jazz. So we're gonna, again, we could spend all day here. Promenade Artisan Foods was where we would have like, oh, is their door open? So that is a really great lunch, coffee. They have sandwiches, soups, salads, good coffee. And I actually get them to cater some of our breakfast when we have things at Tech Town or things like that. And then you have an amazing coffee shop here in Stella. And that's a great long time business. We'll walk by Yama, which is
I'm going to go over to this coffee shop. What I'm going to also do is, guys, I'm going to give this man some money because I have some cash, which I don't usually have. Hold on. Some money. Okay. This might be great. Sir, I took some of your time. I'm going to give you some money.
I sure thank you so much.
So,
I want to help you. I will pay it back. I will be willing to do it. I'm from Monroe, Michigan. My mother was the right one. You can be the right one. I'm praying hard as I can. And the other one that was my foster mother before. Now, I had a white foster mother. The guy went to school and
sir,
said,
I
get
want
you a
to.
white foster mother and you quit being child abuse. He did. He was a black guy. He was really his name.
That's
Was
amazing. Sir, I would love to talk to you a little more, but I'm late for my
but
thing.
I appreciate something. You don't know what she told me. I'm gonna pray hard as I can pray God. I was asking me and my
Okay.
husband prayer. Yeah, and the Lord told us he's gonna give us some black foster kids. And she really was. And I made a song. Know that song, Danny Boy. I wrote that song. So you sing that song.
I hear you. I love that song, Danny Boy.
All
I'm going
folks will hang you money up to the sky. I really am the writer of that song.
I believe you. Have a great day. So he has obviously some untreated mental health issues because he thinks he wrote the song Danny Boy, but bless him, he's in a warm place. He's all set up with what he needs to do, and no one's kicking him out from here.
It sounds like cured cancer, no, but it was like still has this impact. And when you think about, again, if you know the backstory of where it came from, it's kind of, it was kind of radical to have pride in Detroit back then. And they also support other small businesses and sell other items and everything. So, all right, we're gonna walk through, and there's a great hair salon. I mean, again, there's tons of amazing stuff here, and then the Fisher Theater as well, where a lot of our big Broadway shows come. This is a Nederlander theater. For those in the theater, for those that aren't, Nederlander actually owns like multiple theaters on Broadway. That family, it's a family, the Nederlander family. Rather than right here in Detroit. And it's one of the biggest ways in theater.
Yes, the Nederlanders own like a ton of theaters. I'm sure you've all heard of it, and I think they're from Detroit originally.
Hamilton, Jeffrey Sellers is from Detroit.
Right, Jeffrey Seller.
At the Crazy Detroit Homecoming event.
Producer of
A
Hamilton.
few years ago. talked about this was where he always, where he found his double cedar. And it was then that he promised to bring Hamilton here, which they did in 2019, which I had tickets to in March of 19. And, you're buying the whole season to get the tickets to Hamilton. And what was I doing instead of coming to that show? Giving birth to triplets.
Oh my God.
Yeah, another thing I'll be kind of Lord over there.
Honest to God, if I was in labor with triplets and I had Hamilton tickets, I don't know. I think I would have induced, but I guess you have to wait because triplets often don't get as much time in the womb. Okay, so here is Stella. This is cool. A coffee shop. I would get myself some. I would get myself some coffee now, but I can't keep taking these detours. Okay, now we have some of the guards here. Can I say hi to you? My name is Jennifer. What's your name?
Hi, my name's Parker.
What do you do here, Parker?
Security.
She's security. She's not going to talk to me too much because she's supposed to be on her job. Okay, so we are continuing. Here we go. I want to catch up with the tour guide. Hold on. Let me get around.
Let's bring that.
I work for PwC.
Oh, we did a lot of PwC.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, and I don't know if you've done
And see there it says Albert Kahn
it.
building. I'm trying to get sideways so you can
Where's the
see.
garage?
Sorry to make you dizzy. We got some drawings here. Oh, this is nice. Here is a hair salon called, I think it's called Feed Your Hair. Lots of tiaras. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna go out this way. Thank you.
What do you think is
I think we'll be getting back on the bus soon, you guys. So I'm trying to see.
Oh yeah.
So at the first chat, Susan, that's still open, that stream, but there's nothing on it? Question mark? Oh, sorry. I'm sounding like I'm dictating. I don't know what happened. I lost access to that first stream. So I'm not sure what it's showing. If you can tell me in the chat, are we showing the same thing here? Is it just blank? Anyway, thanks. So we are just, I think, just going to walk back to our bus and go to the next location. At some point, I might need to charge my battery, but that shouldn't be a problem. So I hope you guys are enjoying the tour at some point. I guess it's up to you. I want to ask you guys. I'm going to ask Susan or who other my other mods who are here today. I didn't see, but let me know. Do you think it's better for me to like end the live right now and just do some filming and put together kind of a montage video that I can share with you? Or are you all enjoying? Thank you, Susan, about the stream. So I think I'm kind of enjoying doing the live stream. It's not going to be, I think we'll be done by 11:30, but if you all think it would be better for me to start to filming stuff and make an edit, let me know. But I don't know, there's something authentic about doing this live stream in Detroit without any edits. So I'm giving you everything that we are seeing. So, Deb loves doing it live. Hey, got another mod here. Okay. This is, be careful while walking. See, look at my shoes. So I bought some sturdy shoes. I'm gonna be fine. So, I'm gonna show you this. I don't know if you can see this in the distance. That says Henry Ford Hospital. Lots of things are named after Henry Ford still, like Ford Field and so on. Behind me is my friend, another friend of mine who's a tax law guru. Let me just get back on the bus. Okay. Whew. So I'm assuming you've been to the Fisher Theater before?
No, not yet.
Where did you move from?
Central Illinois, from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign.
Oh, I know that school very well.
Oh,
I have a
really?
friend in the English department.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and cool. Yeah, no, I mean the Fisher Theater. It's funny that Jeffrey Sellers fell in love with Broadway through this. I did too. When I was in the '70s, I saw my first Broadway show here, which was Pippin, and then Annie. I know these aren't tour de forces in terms of music, but
No, they're great pieces. Absolutely.
I mean, I remember the smell of the grease paint of being at Pippin. You know the show, and they
Yeah.
and also, I mean, obviously it wasn't Ben Vereen on tour, but incredible choreography.
I bet. Yeah. No, we're looking forward to getting to know the city. We've only been here for 4 months, so it's been, sort of trying to get exposed to things. And of course, concert season really hasn't started getting going yet, and it's been pretty busy at work, so it's been not really been able to spend a ton of time at this. But I'm looking forward to it.
So let me ask you, if someone wanted to apply for an undergraduate or a graduate degree in the music department, look, I have a cousin or a niece, I guess I would say, who played the cello and studied here. Jasmine James. Probably don't know people here, but she's fabulous.
No, no, yeah.
How would people are? Is it mostly instrumental or voice? Can you tell a little bit about what the major has to offer?
Sure. Well, one of the great things really about Wayne State's music program is that it's here in Detroit. Is that the phrase that we like to use is that Detroit is your classroom. I'm sure other people do that too, but when you think about it, if you want to be in music, you need to be around other musicians. And so there are a lot of great music schools that are in small towns, and that can get you a great music education, sure, but a lot of it is going out there and doing it.
In the live jazz here.
Right.
Jazz particularly.
Yeah, everybody. Not yet. Raise your hand. But I'm tour guide humor for you there. Okay, so I heard some great comments. Wow, I lived here 20 years. I haven't been inside the Fisher building, or I didn't know this or that. It's so great. We're on a good start. And there was a question about this restaurant here, Cuisine, which has been around for about 25 years, if not more. And I always like to remind people of the long-time businesses, right? We have lots of great new ones every day. There's new stuff, and they're also wonderful. And we can go whenever. Oh yeah, he's got it. But the longtime businesses, and of course, when there's a show at the theater, it's a very busy and popular place. It's an amazing French restaurant. It has a beautiful courtyard in the back and nice weather, and it's like lovely. But try to go sometime, especially if it's not a show night, right? Because that's when they're very busy. But sometimes, again, they might get a little bit forgotten. Cuisine. So that's why we do the checklist of all the bars and restaurants as a checklist, so people can literally check things off of where they've been and where they haven't, circle where they want to go. We're all creatures of habit. It's really easy to go the same route, go to the same places that we like, and that's also why we do what we do, because people, why would I go to a place I might not like instead of a place I know I like? So it's easy to do that. But when you have personal recommendations and experience that people can share, and I can say, hey, this place is great, you should try it, right? The most powerful word I've ever said is I live here. I grew up here. I go to this place. I grocery shop here. I send my kids to Detroit Public Schools, because and then I can add all the facts and figures, but you can't train or make up personal experience, right? So it's a big part of what we do. Okay, so as we head north, and we don't have to go slow for me, just so you know, but obviously go speed limit and all that. Beautiful Virginia Park here. So these are some, especially in the fall, there's some amazing neighborhoods in Detroit, and we're going to see some of them today. But we're also going to get into a little bit of history. You can't get out of a tour without some history, right?
Ooh, it's
So here we go.
really good now, guys.
Here's my short history professors. All right. Well, this is the short version. And I am, people go, what did you study? Well, I ended up with a degree in communication and minors in history, Spanish, political science, and English. But just because I took so many classes and I loved so many things, I didn't know.
Call her an autodidact, but she studied this.
You have a semester before you graduate about what you need to graduate, is when they told me they're like, you're really only like one class away from having degrees in like all of these things. I was like, oh my God, should I just take 30 credits? Just stop, just stop. You'll still have the knowledge even without, having it on the thing. I went to Aquinas College in Grand Rapids. I got a full ride academic scholarship. So I was like, I'm going to Grand Rapids. It's the second biggest city in Michigan. How different could it be? Spoiler alert for those that haven't, it's very different. It's a lovely place, but especially back in those days. Ooh, down there, Detroit People's Food Co-op would be another stop that we would have on a tour, one of our learning journeys. But if you haven't been to Detroit People's Food Co-op, put that on your top 5 list, your ASAP. This is opened in May. It's literally the example of development for the people, by the people. There's 3,200 members last time I saw, and everybody should become a member. It's $200 for a lifetime membership to the food co-op. You don't have to be a member to grocery shop there, though. So spread the word about that. It's an amazing grocery store. They also have a hot food bar and salad bar, lots of local products. And also is part of the larger Food Commons, which has 4 commercial kitchens upstairs and an amazing event space. And it's the kind of brainchild of Malik Bikini and Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network. So anyway, amazing stuff there. We could talk about grocery stores as we keep going throughout the city. Okay, so let's get into some history, because what we're going to do is answer the question in a long form way of how we got to having empty buildings and empty spaces that you might be seeing.
Yes, please.
So first of all history starts with Indigenous history, and we've had people in what is today Michigan for 10,000 years. Originally on the shores of Lake Superior, working their way down to southeastern Michigan a few thousand years ago, and there's there were settlements in what is today Detroit over 1,000 years ago. So then the Europeans arrive, and a French guy by the name of Antoine Cadillac, for those who
Ooh,
are
that sounds familiar.
yes, shows up 1701, and he starts Fort Pontchartrain du Détroit. Pontchartrain was the French minister of finance, otherwise known as the guy who paid for the trip, and Détroit meaning the straight or the narrow, because, fun fact, Detroit River, not a river, because it does not flow into an ocean. It connects 2 bodies of water, Lake Erie and Lake St. Clair. So 1760, the British take over. 1796, Colonel Hamtramck raises the American flag over the city of Detroit for the first time on July 11th, 1796. 1805, the whole town burns to the ground. Every city had a great fire at some point, right? We started it though. Chicago totally copied off of us. All right, theirs wasn't until 1871, the Great Chicago Fire. Atlanta during the Civil War. Come on, ours was 1805. And it was then that a guy named Woodward laid out the plan that we know as Detroit, based off of DC and spokes of a wheel. But they were actually based off of existing Native American trading routes. And so we like to use our hand as a map in Michigan, right? For those that are new, this is Michigan. We have an Upper Peninsula too, but it's kind of hard. Can I do that from the Upper Peninsula? There. But we can also use our hand as a map for Detroit. Whoa.
Whoa.
Have you ever wondered where 8 Mile Road is 8 miles from? The answer is smack dab in the middle of Campus Martius Park, right downtown. So now there's a pretty glass circle, and underneath that glass circle is the marker that they put in place in 1806 after the Great Fire, and everything's measured out from there. And we'll come back to that, because you're probably going, where are we right now? We are going through a historic neighborhood named Boston Edison. It is one of our mansion districts. There's 900 homes in Boston Edison compared to 350 in Indian Village, just to give you some context. And they put a highway through this mansion district. The name comes from the street names, Boston and Edison. And this is the largest house in Boston Edison is 18,000 square feet, and is nowhere near the largest house that we have in our city. What's that? So we'll get to that one. This you can do a whole tour along here, and they do come the Boston Edison Historic District. Every house has a story. Every house, you have. If we went the other way on Boston, you would get to 918 Boston, which is the Motown Museum that Berry Gordy bought, and all kinds of things. You have Ford's house. You have one of the Fisher mansions. So there were 7 Fisher brothers. They all were trying to build bigger houses, and the largest house in the city is actually in Palmer Woods, built by There was one that was 30,000 square feet, the Fisher brother that built the largest. And then they built one even bigger and gave it to the Archdiocese of Detroit because they were good Catholic boys, or at least wanted to appear so. So the 32,000 square foot Bishop Gallagher mansion is in Palmer Woods. And it went from being part of the Archdiocese from the 1920s all the way until 1988, 89, when John Sally from the Pistons bought it and changed the kind of things that went on there. But as we, speaking of the Archdiocese, this is the cathedral. So if we have any Catholics in the house, and now they've just actually built this affordable housing development, which is really great to see them really working to have an impact, long-term impact on the neighborhood that they're in. Okay, so let's get back to history, and then we'll talk about affordable housing, all of that.
Apartments.
So 1805, the fire, then the spokes of the wheel. So we have Woodward Avenue is the main spoke. Grand River goes all the way to Lansing, and beyond that, Michigan Avenue. It's the same Michigan Avenue that's in Chicago. You could start in Campus Martius, knock it off, and you'd end up on the Magnificent Mile. It was originally a Native American trading route called the Great Sauk Trail.
Never
And then
knew that.
on this side, on the east side, you have Gratiot and Jefferson, which follows the river. And then the mile roads cut across the spokes. So where's 8 Mile Road 8 miles due north of Campus Martius from? It's actually 8 Mile in Dequinder, where all three counties, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb, come together at that point too. Okay, so then after the fire of 1805 comes our motto for the city of Detroit. Father Gabriel Richard coins the motto in Latin, Speramos meliora resurgit generibus, which means we hope for better things that will arise from the ashes. And I love it because we've literally and figuratively rebuilt ourselves many times in our 300,000 plus years of existence here. And it's why we might stumble or fall down, but we're going to get back up every single time. And that's what we're in the midst of doing right now. But instead of it being one big thing, it's going to be a million little things. Every person on this bus, every small business, every nonprofit, every community organization or blog club is what's building the Detroit we want to see in the future. So after we're still seeing some of the murals here from the Blackout Walls Festival that just was last year. So then in the 1800s, we're like a small outpost. I don't know if we have any U of M affiliates here, but the fight song of U of M, and U of M was founded in Detroit in 1817, right? And the fight song says "Champions of the West," because we were the western portion of the United States at that time. And so then the Erie Canal opens. Now industry can start coming. So the late 1800s, we are building ships. We are building stoves. We are rolling cigars, interestingly enough. So we had tobacco shipped up here. And we had big cigar rolling industry. And then something about cars, and here we are. Okay, so backing up to that. There were three major stove companies, and they couldn't imagine a time where we weren't going to be the leading producer of stoves. And then there was the Great Depression of 1893 that rocked the stove industry. Everything's all cyclical, you know? So 1908, the first Model T is made by hand on Paquette Street, where we were just passed by. General Motors is incorporated in 1908. 1911, they start mass producing the Model T. This is what changes the game, guys. Henry Ford did not invent the car, and he did not invent the assembly line. But by making the car and putting on an assembly line, making it faster, he could make it more affordable. Before he was doing that, there were about 100 car companies, many of them here in Detroit, and everybody was like, because it was the next, oh, we can build a car, one off, one off, one off. And cars were like airplanes today. Only the richest of the rich could afford a car. But what changed the world was going from taking 728 minutes to make one car to 96 minutes to make a car on the first day of opening here, where we are about to see the Highland Park plant. So Henry Ford chose a place in the middle of nowhere, outside the city limits at that time, to build his factory. He turns a 5,000 person farming community into a 45,000 person city, and that city is Highland Park. But that same year he chooses the location, 1909, is the year that the Home Rule Act is passed, which is a state legislation. For me, this is a really important domino. I'm probably like the only person that talks about it as much. Once I figured it out, I was like, everybody needs to know this. So 1909, the Home Rule Act itself is not bad. You need a place. Michigan's growing. The Home Rule Act says, okay, once you have this amount of people, and this is how you can elect a mayor, and all of those things. We need that. But there's two parts of it that stand out. One, You cannot be annexed unless you vote to be. So you can create a municipality and not be annexed. And two, you even have the ability to tax yourself. So you don't even have to worry about wider taxes, county or regionalism or collaboration in that sense. So Henry Ford does not want to pay taxes in Detroit or listen to the mayor of Detroit. So we are in a whole separate city right now. Anybody know how we can tell? The blue street signs. The street signs are blue in Highland Park and green in Detroit.
I never ever knew
So
this.
that behind the Model T Plaza is the original Highland Park plant that has been empty for a very long time. There's some storage, it's been unused on and off for storage over the years. And all you see to recognize and commemorate the changing of the world by mass production of automobile is this one little historical marker coming up here that says home of the Model T. Now, if I had all the money or even some money, I would look at developing just this one building, this administration building. And there was some talk about this, like a nonprofit about a decade ago was trying to get this part remodeled to be a kind of space. It could be a lot of different things. But that's again, if anyone's planning stuff or has got an endowment they want to invest in, that's one of my, if I could wave my wand kind of things there. So not only does they start mass production here, but 1914 he starts paying people more than anyone else is paying them because competition is so high because there's so many companies. So everyone's making $2.50 a day, and he says he's going to pay people $5 a day. So you probably heard about that. So people came flooding in from all over the country, all over the world. And we talk about Detroit's population decline all the time. You can't read an article without hearing about it. But an important part of the story that's left out too often is how quickly we grew. In 1910, Detroit had 465,000 people.
Wow.
And by 1930, it was 1.6 million. So do the math on that. Our population increased by 1.2 million people in 20 years. No city had grown that quickly in world history at that time. And it's an important part of the story that always gets left out. When you see a graph, it starts in 1950 and it goes down. If you take 100 years, you see this straight line, and then actually a much smaller, annual decline. And so why the decline? Well, that goes back up to the Home Rule Act and to a lot of things. But with that, in that era of our population growth, also came segregation. And when we learn about segregation in schools, I feel certainly when I did, it was like slavery, segregation. The South did that, and they were so bad. But hey, we're bad guys. That is federal policy.
I'm back.
Okay, and it didn't just snap over in 1968, and everyone's we're starting at the beginning again. No, then you had the Fair Lending Act of '71, and this still impacts us today in lots of ways, right? From a wealth generation, wealth building, to that 74% of redline areas. That's where the term redlining comes
It's not
from.
the
So
battery.
how do they
It's the
know
signal
where
for
black
the
people live,
wireless.
brown people live? They made maps for 200 cities. Red areas, no loans. Redlining, right?
I'm not sure how
So,
much this, but she's talking
literally
about
yeah. So,
distribution
and this is the thing, not only could
and
black residents not get a home loan,
after the
but white
Roosevelt
people could
era
not get a home loan if you lived near
Act
black
in
people.
1930s.
So we had a lot of integrated neighborhoods.
Like
Southwest
streets that
Detroit had
diameter
Hungarian,
charges.
Italian,
However,
Polish,
there was
Mexican,
red light
black,
and
Black Bottom. Similarly,
the inability
our historic black
of this
neighborhood
kind
was
of
really
financing.
originally an immigrant neighborhood. But then white people were encouraged, and in fact, only way they could get a loan is they moved to an all-white neighborhood.
What year was the redlining?
1934 was the creation of that, but then you have local, so that's federal policy. Local policy was restrictive covenants. So you saw it written into deeds that you cannot rent this or sell this to a person of color, or they'd say you can only rent this to someone of pure Caucasian blood. Was even some of the language that was used. By 1940, 80% of the places to live in the city of Detroit had restrictive covenants. So during pandemic, we started doing virtual, like as everybody did. And there's one, I thought it would just be, oh, it's going to suck, but it'll be something until pandemic's over. But I actually really, really like pieces of it, which is we can show, we do a map, we go on the map and we go to all the places we're going on Google Street View, but we also have a slide deck where we can show the map. We show,
And we'll
and
find
we
this
do
for
a
you guys
redlining
later.
racism and segregation
He's
as a
saying there's a
virtual
virtual
tour
tour.
that is a recording. Like Techtown has it as part of their onboarding process. We've done it for 1,800 GM execs or the Michigan Democratic Black Caucus. So there's still tools that we created during pandemic are still useful today. So today we are coming up, we just got 6 Mile, we're back in Detroit. This is Palmer Park, the Palmer Park Historic District over here. One of the very few places that we have a grouping of apartment buildings. So Midtown and the Cass Corridor have that, and over here, but mostly we were built as a single family home city. And you can go at a regular pace as well, too. Thanks. Okay, no, I know, I just wasn't sure. But you can see in the a log cabin back there. So that is Senator Palmer. This was his estate, and he donated it to his country estate, donated it to the city, and that was their country home. So, fun fact: the wife it was pretty grand for a home of that era of the late 1800s. But she said, put some logs on it so it looks like rustic. So it was not an actual like handmade log cabin in that sense. 1001 Covington here. This is beautiful apartments, 2,500 square feet, originally built and designed by Albert Kahn, but by the owner of the Tigers. So a lot of four Detroit Tigers families of that era in the 20s and 30s and such. So Palmer Park has had a lot of investment lately from the city because the city's back to being able to do that. But though there was a time where they couldn't. They closed Palmer Park. How do you close a park? You just stop taking care of it. So that's when the Friends of Palmer Park and the organization to investing heavily in parks, not just in downtown. The park and so park. So that's the city's purview. 306 parks that they are in charge of. Well, we can record 30 episodes with 30 leaders. But we talked with Brad Dick, who is now coming away state. They just just announced on Friday that he is coming away state. Excited. But he talked about uh, 18-hole golf courses, beautiful building, but fun, interesting. That fun is the wrong word. The first Black member of the Detroit Golf Club was Mayor 96. Young was our first. So the story is like Dennis Archer and some other like prominent. And he said, "You guys must really love it here." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we must prove." It's pretty. That's the context. Matters because what we try to do is not just okay, these are just facts. how we where just figure out what our right for kids to say, give it as a prequel to city pocket. So but partly because our railway went through the middle of our city, and then that's where the industry went, and businesses and houses, and then the industry went away, and the businesses and the houses went away. So, well, we've really been working to connect pockets. But here in Northwest Detroit, between 6 and 8 Mile, between Woodward and Liver and the Lodge, you have 14 neighborhoods, all with every size house you can imagine and every price point. So a really wide spectrum. And Palmer Woods is where we have the 32,000 square foot mansions over there. We're also going to see our Frank Lloyd Wright house as we go slowly by here. I mean, it's right here. It's kind of covered up by some of the trees, but that's the 1952 Churchill house. And we were just in there with Norm and Dave, who are the owners who own Blossoms. So local small business owners bought that and put all their blood, sweat, and tears and money into restoring it because it was basically a shell. It wasn't like abandoned, but it had gone through different owners, and people had started to renovate and then stop. But basically, they had to start. I mean, literally, it was pretty much a shell, you know. So, yes, maybe when she makes the turn, the sun blinders. So behind us, if we turn left, is University District. Do we have any residents of these of Northwest Detroit here? Wow, this is kind of interesting. It's a very popular spot. So University District, so Palmer Woods, the golf course has its own neighborhood. Aretha Franklin, actually, that was her most recent house in Detroit. And this is Sherwood Forest that we're coming through. And sometimes it's good if you pull up your phone. Left. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to pull up the map, because it's like they don't want you cutting through here or something. So they don't, this is where the grid pattern of most of our streets does not happen. But it's both easy and a chance to neighborhoods, and it also has more of the Avenue of Fashion, which is our next stop. We'll be getting off the bus in just a couple minutes. So this is Sherwood Forest. So you have not the 30,000 square foot or 10,000 square foot here mansions, but they are, 5 to 7, 8,000 maybe would be the max here. And
What am I heading toward?
Well, we're heading towards.
yes, that's why he's doing that. So,
We are out.
no, we're, oh, you mean you can't even not go up there? Okay.
Let's
Back up
So-
the other street.
Is that,
You don't think I should be doing that with bus?
well,
I think
can you get through and go left on that street? Or no, it's up to you, whatever
the
you.
further we go down, the less likely I'm.
Well, if you turn, those are your options. Back up or go straight, whatever you prefer. We are totally
back
fine.
up since
Okay, you do.
don't know what's right.
Yes, construction. It's our lovely season. They're like, get everything done before it snows. So, but anyway, it's not. It's almost like I have more time to talk about things. Okay, so so when we were talking about the Home Rule Act, how does that tie into all of this? So we talked about Highland Park, and if you saw your map, if you look at your map, if you didn't, you can see. And we all love Google Maps, we use it, but it's nice to sometimes have an analog map and have the picture and see the shape of Detroit. And then there's two cities inside of Detroit, Highland Park and Hamtramck. Hamtramck is 2.1 square miles, and Highland Park is 2.9 square miles. They're their own cities with their own mayors, city councils, police, schools, and emergency managers at one point as well. Because when you build something around a factory and the factory closes, that is a major problem. So today, Highland Park has about 8,000 people down from its peak of 45,000. Now, Hamtramck is opposite. So it was Dodge that built the factory and drew the line in Hamtramck. But if you ever need an example or a case study on the positive impacts of immigration, was on the edge of town. And it didn't get a lot more industrial. I mean, some of it, but again, it was on the edge. And you have lots of duplexes and lots of walkable streets, and so it's first Polish and Ukrainian, and now Yemenis and people from Bangladesh and everywhere else. There's 20 plus languages spoken in 2.1 square miles of Hamtramck, and there's 28,000 people. It's the densest city in the state of Michigan, by far, and one of the densest in the entire country. Like it's almost
Sherwood
getting
Forest
to,
in downtown Detroit.
Manhattan. Um, but the Model Ts is great at first, and then it's not that. It doesn't get the city for tax reasons and turns a farming community known as Dearborn into a city. And the Rouge factory, when it opens in 1920, its peak was employing 100,000 people. But he didn't want blacks and whites living next to each other. So Inkster, which is a farming community named after a postmaster general, was created for the black employees of Ford Motor Company. And so forth and so on, and up and up and out and out. So that today in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County, we have 131 cities. Almost half of them are under 5, and they're under no real obligation to ever speak to each other. So I submit to you, this major domino impacts us today in a lot of different ways, and has for all these years.
No public transportation.
Transportation. You try to get 131 different municipalities on board, literally. In fact, until just recently, 50 of our 131 communities had, you can go here if that's easier. That's fine. Well, we're gonna do Livernois. We can do Livernois. We're just going through the neighborhood to get to Livernois. So yeah, make fun. And then what we'll do is we'll just go. Yeah, it's fine. We just wanted to see the neighborhood, but
We have to see it.
there we go. So we'll go right on Livernois, and we'll go left on Outer Drive, and then pull. We'll do a U-turn and pull over. A Michigan left. It's their space. I mean,
She knows what
you got it. I mean, I know you can do it because you've done it. This is our regular route. You got it. Transportation. 50%, 50 out of those 131 suburbs had opted out of any bus service whatsoever at all, historically. So it was basically illegal to drop someone off or pick someone up, even if they were driving right through. The good news is we're moving in the right direction. Oakland County a couple years ago voted to basically not have opt-out as an option. So all of Oakland County now is accessible via transit, or they're adding routes as we speak. We're working on that for Wayne County, so that's next. It's a little trickier because Detroit opts out. Because Detroit has DDOT. Detroit has its own bus service. So how do you have, not extra tax Detroiters, but not let folks like Livonia with 100,000 people have no transit whatsoever at all? So that is one of the ways, transportation. We'll come back to other ways. We are now on the historic, what's known as the Avenue of Fashion. And this is so named because before shopping malls and this was the big short stores downtown and the small little boutiques here on the Avenue of Fashion. You have longtime businesses still that have been around for a while, not really none since like that 40s time frame. Because this was an all-white neighborhood, all-white stores, and this was definitely part of the redlined area. But then Northland Mall opened in the early 1950s, just a few miles away, just outside the city limits. Eastland Mall, just across the street from the city. Southland Mall, Westland Mall. You can't make this stuff up. And literally all outside the city limits, so that to siphon people and actually pull away from small businesses, provide parking, be separate from, and all of that. And now almost all of them are gone at this point, right? But it did lead to the downfall of the retail businesses here. And then you started seeing black residents move in the 60s. Actually, you're like, wait, I thought they couldn't get a home loan. Well, the first black residents, many of them were Motown stars, and they didn't need a mortgage. They could pay cash for their house. Um, so actually, well, actually, just a couple blocks away, it was Marvin Gaye's house, which was originally Barry Gordy's house that he bought. But Marvin Gaye married Barry Gordy's sister, and they gave them this house as
I never
wedding
knew
place.
that. Huh. Today I
So
learned.
this is now, that this became in the 70s, the 80s, and so forth, started becoming, and is now entirely a Black business district. In fact, it's one of the largest in the country. This neighborhood that we are here is called Bagley. So again, they're all different types of houses, different price points, which is really wonderful, I think, right? So yeah, and we'll just pull over as close to Livernois as we can get.
Yeah, we make, I have no room.
Cool. So oh, right. So we bring folks out here. So we have learned. This is a tour, and it's great. It's great, right? But we also do learning journeys where we have a little more time, and we stop and talk and have speakers at different things. And imagine like a mobile workshop or a mobile conference. Like you can have 3 panelists, and they can be amazing and talk about the work they're doing or their small business or whatever it might be, and that's really great. But now imagine you're talking to them in their business, in the neighborhood, at the park, wherever they might have been having their impact. And that's what we do with our learning journeys. So it's just the next level up from this. So we can schedule some more of those because we did one of those this fall. And all of these, this is our 3rd tour for faculty in the last couple months. And the idea is that it's a pilot that if people like it, we can keep doing them, right? But when we do and bring people here, Cakes and Bakes, when we have a little more time, we are going to go see it. But it's talk about investment without displacement.
Did she say
Because
cake?
there's been 40,
I think she said
11
cake.
years ago, there was 40% vacancy on this avenue of fashion. And today there's basically none. And instead of dissipating a Black business district, it strengthened the Black business district. With now, some are saying it is the biggest Black business district in the country with almost 200 businesses and between 6 and 8 months. So we're gonna go see one of my favorites that might or might not sell cupcakes and other things. Let's go check
Oh my
it out.
God, cupcakes. I was not told there'd be cupcakes. I'm very excited about this.
Breakfasty things, probably maybe too. But
Do you want a cupcake?
If you don't mind.
Okay. What is your name?
Andrea?
Andrea, you're getting what kind of cupcake? No allergies?
No, leave that to you.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna get Andrea, who is a bus driver, a cupcake. And I think we gotta get me one. Hello. I've been doing some hard work out here in these streets. So she said something about cupcakes. Oh, I'm seeing some really good murals over here. I'm going to show you those. I don't know if you can see those across the street here. Again, we're on the Fashion Avenue. Oh, good cakes. I think I spied this van earlier. There's a phone number and a website, www.goodcakesandbakes. Holy moly, that looks like some kind of lemon confection. Oh, and there's some vegan stuff. I am very excited, to say the least, about a cupcake or two. Very excited, as I said. Um, I did have a little breakfast, just some egg bites at Starbucks. So I'm a little hungry. So here we go. Oh my gosh. Not only is it called Good Cakes and Bakes, but it also has a pride flag in the window, which is so cool. Do you see this? And there is also Barks, Fifth Avenue, a luxury dog boutique. I feel a little bit like I'm JD Vance going to order something, but I don't think I'm gonna mess it up like him. I think I know how to order. Oh my God, you guys. It smells so good in here. I know you can't smell this, but holy God. I'm gonna walk over here and show you what I'm looking at. Look at this. Oh my God. So look what we have. We got some peach cobbler cookies, vegan brownie with nuts, vegan brownie with no nuts. There is, oh my God, I don't know, 7-Up cake. I bet that has 7-Up in it. And they may be out of some cupcakes. We'll see what we can get here. I need to get something.
We'll talk about where we are.
So I promised to get our bus driver a cupcake, but they might be out of cupcakes.
Okay.
But I'll get her some cake. I mean, I think that's going to be okay.
Cake seems good
Okay.
with the pork.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Um, oh my God.
All right, once we have
So-
everybody in, yes, you can get in line if you like. But let's get everyone in. Forward.
So,
Yeah.
I'm looking at what I'm going to get her. I think I'm just going to get her a slice of cake with the fork. There's also lemon berry ones. That looks, you probably should be looking at this, but
Here for a few reasons. And yes, like, again, please feel free to grab something. Again, you're under no legal obligation to do so, but, I'm not going to stop you because it's obviously amazing. But I'm going to tell you the story and keep telling you a little bit more about the Avenue of Fashion here. So we are at Good Cakes and Bakes, established 2013, so we just turned 11 years old in September. April Anderson, who is busy actually like baking and all of that stuff, and she can wait for that. But I'll be like on the learning journeys, we like schedule her to like.
you see Shirley Chisholm.
We have more time.
I do.
But I'll do the like clip notes of her amazing story. So she is born and raised Detroiter, grew up not far from here, went to Spelman College, and then U of M for an MBA. She was a corporate accountant. And she decided she wanted to quit her job and go back to school to get a degree in pastry arts. And her wife and her dad were like, I'm sorry, what now? Repeat that? What's going on? But she had her heart set on it. And so she did. She put a 2-week notice in, and she thought she was going to take some time to figure stuff out, test things, write a blog, all this stuff. But then there was a new program, a pilot, what we now know is a pilot program that was starting, and she was talking with Foresight from the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, who was in the Detroit Revitalization Fellows program. And he said, hey, we're working on this project, and we're going to give cash and space to small business to open up. But if you don't, but you should apply anything. She's like, well, I don't want to open up right away, and I don't know any idea. So it's a well, fine. Anyway, you can also get technical support, architectural drawings, or whatever it might be. So 1 minute before deadline, she's like, okay, fine. And she had gone through the Build Institute class, which actually started originally in our organization, in our space, and we were part of a collaborative called T-Hive. And I had 3,500 square feet white box space where Nike is today downtown for $500 a month. As a pop-up, we didn't call it that back then. Or someone better than so she had this like
Okay.
class that really helped to get action.
Okay.
Hello.
Can I get one slice of this pink cake right here? There's like a strawberry vegan crunch cake. Yes. And do you have any cupcakes? No.
So this really made it accessible.
And what's on top too? It doesn't have to be vegan as long as it's strawberry. Oh, that's good. What's on top on the left over there? Yeah. Oh, can I get one of those too? It's 2 forks. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
So this is actually the second remodel, but there was like.
I just lemon peas and cream, and that way she can choose. Oh, do you have cupcakes still or no? Oh, okay.
And you're like standing at the meeting or there's a great Sony Antononi saying everyone loves that, but you're not always getting food, all those things. So it used to be basically just against that wall, and all of this was.
Are you guys still with me? Okay.
So the guy around not long after they opened, she got an email and said, "Can you sit on this panel and talk about your small business journey?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm starting to get an idea of talking in front of folks, so I can do that. Tell me more about it." They're like, "Well, It's gonna be Rick Rapping. Mayor Duggan, and Bill Clinton.
It doesn't show.
I'm sorry, you're like April Emerson. You call me, and it was at the Clinton Global Initiative Conference in Colorado. And they flew her out and they're like,
Show value.
yeah, we asked everybody, what is a great example of a small business? You want
Still other Detroit
Everybody said yes.
businesses.
They ordered 400 vegan brownies. Nobody's vegan. They have great vegan brownies. She also never wanted to do vegan. She's like, I like butter. I do love it. But and she also when somebody was coming in, and the kid was like, what are they doing? So they're like, oh, we can't buy it. She was like, okay. I also said I would respond to my community. So she makes great vegan brownies. She's never tried them. Anyway, she also has this peanut butter cake thing, which is a St. Louis specialty. Someone was coming in, I'm like, good. And so they had 400 of each of those. So that's for the day before, like, you make 800 of each. So they stayed all night to make them. And then they were going to just like check a bunch on the place, and they're like wrapping things in a white, they're wrapping in white, parchment paper, and these bricks. That's like
I agree. Thank you.
reminded of like Beverly Hills Cop or some movie where it's like like drugs or something. So she brought on this was for just putting the show. We at least called my number, so it all got through just fine. So maybe the way to sneak things through. So anyway, pretty interesting. So that was like just after she'd already been on Oprah because Oprah had come to do a show on Detroit Kitchen Connect. So we had all these great entrepreneurs making really great things, but you can only make so much in your kitchen because you want to sell it at a bigger level. And there weren't really Eastern market. There's one open.
I love this place.
And so a group of people got together and we're like, okay, well, there's this kitchen, commercial kitchen in this church, this community center has a, and started a network of, commercial kitchens that could be rented out.
So again, this is Cakes and Bakes. It was established in 2013 by a Black woman who was an accountant and her wife, and this looks so good.
And I come here and opened the shop. And our only employees was her lovely mother Shirley.
This is
Volunteer, I should say. For 18 months. A part of that, though, was that she didn't want to hire people. She couldn't pay a living wage and provide benefits and those types of things. So that's where she didn't just get anybody that could come in. She raised the needs of the She also hired her citizens, had a apprenticeship program. And it's on the board. He used to host those small business classes here.
So guys, I think I'm gonna call it quits now and just do some filming of stuff so I can concentrate. Bye.
And part of that is that she worked on getting